Hello, welcome back. This time I'm going to be talking about how I laid out the footings for the new extension, and I thought I'd combine that with an actual genuine product review of this fancy laser level. So, for the first time ever on this channel, I'm not going to be taking the piss. Much. But actually talking about how to use a piece of equipment to do a thing. And it's going to be quite a gentle episode, so if you're not so interested in the technical details, just pop it on in the background like a strange geeky relaxation tape while you do a bit of yoga or something, and I'll do my best to be soothing. Are you ready? Okay, come with me and I'll explain my thinking.
Foot, 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 foot. 12! Episode 12! Footings.
I'm at the stage now where I'm ready to build these footing walls onto the poured concrete foundations here. And I want them to be spot on because the frame already exists and I want to be able to just drop it on top like that and have everything fit nicely. So at this point I really come up against the problem of trying to transfer the complexity of the CAD model onto the physical reality outside the back door with all its wonkiness and inaccuracies. You can see there's already quite a lot of complexity in the form I need to lay out. Here's the back wall of the house, and this little wall is at right angles with the back wall of the house, and this wall is parallel to it, but from there on in it's all irregular. You've got this angle cut off here, and then this wall here follows the old line of the party wall with the neighbour. So it isn't actually at right angles to the back wall of the house, it's turned outwards slightly at this corner. So it turns out like that. And then there's the question of how to lay out lines and marks and where to put them. Should I mark it out down at foundation level on the poured concrete, or up at ground level? Down on the foundations, the poured concrete doesn't really take a mark unless you make an angle grinder mark, and then things get a bit sloppy. I can make a mark easily enough on this corner, or this corner on the wall of the house, but over in this corner, I've just got a mess left behind by a half-demolished party wall. Party! And down in this corner, I don't really have anything to make a mark on at all. And then there's the issue of the back wall of the house. These two walls here that define this opening. They're in a straight line in the model, but in reality, of course, I don't know if they really form a straight line, so I'll need some kind of straight edge along them. And finally, I need to define my horizontals. The top of the poured concrete foundations is rough and deviates quite a bit, and I need to set up accurate levels with respect to the existing floor of the house so that I can hit the mark when I come up through those courses of blocks and bricks. I've never bothered with a laser level before, but the prospect of doing all of that with a spirit level and a line got me thinking that maybe I should. I started researching, and there are a lot of laser levels out there. Nobody seems to have put all the information in one place anywhere online. I started to think maybe I should do a review. So I got hold of one of these. It's the DeWalt DCE189d1g, and it's very nice indeed. I made my review, and when I got to the end of it, I realised that it's really, really boring. It's just very dry. So, to brighten things up a little bit, I thought I'd also highlight another feature of the DeWalt DCE189d1g, which is that it lights up the whole room like some kind of a disco. But it's not just any disco. It's a disco where the horizontals are really horizontal, and the verticals are absolutely vertical. And the intersections between the planes are perfectly perpendicular. It's not just any disco. It's the OCD disco. Good. Right. So when it comes to laser levels, you can buy a cheap one, an expensive one, a red one, a green one that emits one line, two lines, three lines, one that emits a combination of lines and dots for setting up right angles, ones that run on different kinds of batteries. So it can be quite daunting working out what you really need to buy for the job, but there is a logic to it.
D-I-O-C-D D-I-O-C-D
The DeWalt DCE189d1g runs on a 12-volt battery system. It emits a green light and it has 3 different planes on which it can emit that light. And each of those planes is 360 degrees. If you look inside, there's a little array of lasers on a pendulum that's magnetically damped, and the on and off switch has a locking system that locks that pendulum out so it doesn't get damaged while it's in transit. You unlock it like that, it shows you the battery level, and you can hear that it now lets the pendulum move around. And you select one of these 3 dimensions, and on it goes. You put it on a level, and it gives you about 4 degrees of inaccuracy on that level, and if it's more than 4 degrees on the wonk, then it starts to flash like that to tell you to put it on the level again. So you lay it out on the level, and there you go. And it defines for you those 3 planes there.
D-I-O-C-D D-I-O-C-D.
Now you pay more for emitting the light 360 degrees rather than 180 degrees around the front of the unit like this. And you pay more for 3 dimensions rather than 2. And you pay more for a unit which emits green light. And actually you pay more for the 12-volt battery system rather than disposable batteries. So this is an expensive laser level, but here's what it allows me to do.
It is D, damn accurate. It is I, insufferable. It is O, often grumpy. It is C, kind of funky. It is D, D, D. D-I-O-C-D D-I-O-C-D.
The green light lets you work outdoors. The human eye picks up green light a lot more easily than it picks up red. And I've had a go at this. You can use it in daylight. You can use it in direct sunlight, just about, if you sort of cup your hand over the laser line like that and create a little bit of shade. So it works. The 12-volt battery system lets you leave the unit on for hours. That means you can use it as a straight edge. You don't just have to set up your points and then put the laser level away again. You can leave it running. The 360 degree laser line lets me define a plane between 2 points. So if I had a point here and a point here, and I lined the laser level up to hit them both, then I've defined this entire plane here, and I can build my wall. And because of this, it doesn't actually matter where the marks are that I'm working to. If one of these marks is up here and one of them is down here, because I've got the entire plane to work to, it doesn't matter at all. So all those problems about where on the foundations you're going to make the mark, those problems all go away. And the 3 dimensions let me project a right angle onto the ground or a right angle onto the wall. So that lets me draw all the construction lines I need to mark out the footings. Let me show you. I've gone for working off a place on the back of the house that's around about floor level, because you get the impression that the brickwork down here in the foundations is a bit more rough and ready than it is up here. And then at this level, I've built myself a little shelf for putting my laser level on and taking the measurements. This is roughly horizontal, but it's got an accurate straight edge down the back of it, cut with a rail saw. So that defines the line along the back of the building. At either end of the shelf, I make myself a little mark like this, which is 20mm off the brickwork. And then when I turn my laser level on, line it up at this end, line it up at the other end. Now I've defined this laser line as being parallel to the back wall of the house. Switch on another dimension here, and I've defined my right angle to the back wall of the house. Because I've defined the entire plane, I can go down here on the ground and pick it up wherever I need to. You can see I've built this little retaining wall with a gully drain behind it that's already going around the outside of the structure, so that gives me something easy to mark on. I'll just go over to the other side and draw my line wherever I need to using that laser line. So that gives me this line here and this line here at right angles to the back wall of the house that I need to define this corner and this corner. But now I need these lines here that are parallel to the back wall of the house. So to do this, I get a piece of timber, set it at right angles to the back wall of the house using the laser level, make it pretty much horizontal, and then put a tape on it, come out here to the point that defines the back wall of the extension, make my mark. So I've got a mark here, and then I repeat the process, put a piece of timber here at right angles, make a second mark. Then I move my laser level across, set it anywhere I like, line it up with the mark on the timber at this end, and do the same on that end. And now I've defined this plane here, and I can go to my retaining wall and make a mark anywhere that's convenient. Once I have a set of marks on the retaining wall that define my vertical planes, I need to set up a horizontal. My datum point for the horizontal is the floor inside the existing building. So I'll come out here and make this notch at that level, and then set a tape measure on it. I know that the top of the first course of blocks needs to come in at 490mm below floor level, so I set the laser up, switch it on, and it then projects that horizontal plane all the way across the foundation. I come across to the marks on my retaining wall, there's the green laser line, and I make my horizontal mark. Now when it comes to setting up the first course of blocks, I can do away with the string line altogether. Up here I've got one mark on the wall, it defines a vertical. This is the other mark that defines a vertical, and I've got a horizontal here that I projected from the datum point. I set the laser level up to hit all three, so that now this top dimension is defining the top of the block, and this vertical dimension is defining the back of the block. And as you work, you can just pick that line up with your hand. And as you can see, it leads to some achingly accurate block work, which is very satisfying. And here it is, all finished. That's the outer skin of the footings. Done maybe 16 different laser setups. A couple of things come up. One is getting in the way of yourself. This really only comes up because everywhere I'm working is constrained. You can't get the laser out beyond the wall and shine it down this way. You can see that the height of the horizontal dimension of the laser is higher than one course of bricks. So if you forget and finish this course, then you'll get in the way of setting up the next course. If you want to come through here, you've got to leave two courses unfinished and set up that line there, and then come through, and when you get to the end, take the laser out of the way and finish the last couple of bricks. You need to remember always to work towards the laser, otherwise bits of dirt on the bricks will slowly degrade the line until you can't see it. The other thing is just getting flashes of laser light in your eyes all day long. It can get a bit wearing. I don't think that brief flashes of light in peripheral vision are going to cause damage, but it can get a bit annoying. If you are tired, it might get a bit headachy. So yeah, you might want to limit the laser use for that. In this situation where each setup is quite different, this was a lot faster than using a line, but if you were going straight up a wall with a repetitive setup, using a line would be a good idea. I think that's about it for footings and lasers. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. I think I'm gonna go to bed. I'm shattered. No more hijinks for me. I've just got to switch off this horizontal dimension, and this vertical dimension, and this other vertical dimension, and make a break for another dimension! Pay close attention.